inside the divan of a bed. Where do these things come from? Do you understand what I'm saying? We're not talking about, inverted commas, normal families, normal society. There are things that are pulling you to various extremes. For what? For money, for fame, for, you know, your values have gone.
Wow.
Yummy.
Another area, you know, because from talking about what's in that book, you talked about Derek Prince writing that the father is like the priest in the home, the pastor.
Yes.
Then the wife, the deacon, deaconess, and then the children, the church members.
Yes.
Then what happens, because the pastor determines what happens in the church. Then what happens then when the deaconess is trying to tell the pastor, you're running the church the wrong way?
Which sometimes he is. You're collecting too much offering.
Oh my goodness. No, it's an excellent point. Excellent. Remember, we say the man is the head.
Yes.
Don't knock me down, women. Don't knock me down.
Those emails come flying in. No, we haven't got
the man. Well, let me say something really controversial.
Yes.
No, the man is the head.
Okay.
But you often have to realize the woman is the neck that steers the head.
I support that.
That's right.
I support that.
Similarly, in church, when you're promoting your deacons and ministers, they're your steering group that steers you. You have a vision as a pastor, as a head. You want church growth, you want you know, to get and buy a building and have this. You have your vision, but you must have a steering group. Be that neck that steers you and turns you, because in the multitude of counsel, there's wisdom.
That's right.
Counselors, good counselor around you. So those people, my bishop, the late Bishop Norman L. Wagner, he always used to refer to his workers around him as his staff, his ministers and elders and deacons. My staff will tell you. And he said one day, why do I refer to them as my staff? A staff is that in which you lean on. A staff is that in which clears the way if you're going through somewhere. You can feel yourself around with a staff. You can pull someone up with your staff. You can defend yourself with a staff. David's staff in the Bible did more than just helped him to walk. It was his protection when the lion and the wolf came. He used that staff to defend himself, protect himself. When the sheep fell down in a ditch, the hook at the end of that staff was put down to pull them out. It protected, but it saved, it rescued. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. The staff is there as such a support structure, and that's what you have with your family. It's said that a wife, a good wife, remember the Bible says, he that findeth a wife
That's a good thing.
finds a good thing.
That's right, a good wife.
A good wife. But in that same book, it also said, a contentious woman in your home, it's better you were in the attic.
That's right.
On your own, than live with a woman of contention. And you see a lot of men, they will give up the house, you take the house.
I'm going in a flat.
I'm off a rent in a flat. In a good way.
He's hit the nail on the head. He's drawn some really important points.
Yes.
Because the thing is that the wife has a crucial role to play in the man, being, more balanced and more effective in the home. But then also, like he says, when the woman applies wisdom in the home, it helps. But then the thing is that if the woman lacks wisdom, don't know how to deliver things, because the Bible says that the character, the behavior of the woman can even turn the heart of an unsaved husband. So, but then when the woman doesn't know how to influence the man, because I've met women before. Oh, my husband's an unbeliever. He cannot change. He's useless. But then from the statement she's made, it's made it clear to me that something's wrong with her more than the man. And I've heard men that said, listen, he said, well, I don't have to go to church because I'm better than these ones.
Oh, dear.
That's terrible.
Listen,
Sorry, at this point, can I just remind you to send in us some emails, and we'd love to hear from you. We've got about 15 minutes left of the program, I think. So, so we'd love
That's
to...
live at revelationtv.com.
Live at revelationtv.com. Live at revelationtv.com. I haven't received any yet. I don't know whether my system is okay or whether we just haven't received any emails.
you made a point earlier talking about the daughters, girls in the home.
Yeah.
And what's essential with respect to that is a father is crucial to a girl, because normally we say, the mother cannot teach a boy how to become a man. But the flip side to that is that the father can greatly influence the girl to become the right type of woman. Exactly what we were saying earlier with regards to parenting is about modeling. Modeling is the principal thing in parenting. As Yemi said, I'm going to see and observe what my mum, my dad did. And even some people say, I'm not going to do what my mum did. My dad did this to me. My dad did that. And I'm not going to do it. Your fallback position is what you know, what you've seen.
Yeah.
And in times of crisis, you go back to norm, what you know, what you've seen. I'm afraid. That's why drunkards will produce drunks. Wife beaters will produce, because that's what I've seen. That's the image imprinted on my mind. I have a photocopy of that. When it comes to girls, you will see how dad treats mum. You will see the flowers that has been purchased. You will see how she's been wined and dined. You will see how gentle, the gentleman. You will see how birthdays have been celebrated, Mother's Day, Christmas, weekends,
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a special occasion, and dad comes in with a flower, with a plant, with chocolates, with a present, and treat mums in such a gentle being the operative word. So here you have a situation where the daughter is seeing what a real man is and will not go and pick up he who is not a real man, because she has firsthand what a real gentleman is. So when she goes out on the road and sees certain behavior that doesn't look like my dad, that ain't a man. Wow. That's not a man.
Not come into a house.
Every balanced home will have a gentleman in there. Normally, the mum and the dad has such a loving relationship that the daughters always want to marry their dad.
You say normally, but normally isn't necessarily this generation of
But
society.
then why is it that a lot of the girls, the young girls you hear about these days, they tend to want some bad guys. You get some ugly guy who sells drugs and, is bad news. He's got tattoo all over his body. And you got all these beautiful girls going after him. And you wonder, what is it that they're looking for?
For years, I wanted to find out why that was. And through a series of discussions with young ladies and youth groups and so on, I found out that they want the biggest, the baddest, and sometimes the ugliest.
Why?
Because they represent protection. Protection on the road. Do you know who my man is? Do you know who my man is? Oh, yeah? It's Killer Derek. You know Killer Derek, or Killer B, or Killer K.
I can
Do
hear
you know
your
who he is? Yeah, yeah. You touch me, and Killer's coming for you. Because they've all got road names. They've all got street names, and they will know you by your street name. Yeah, yeah. If Killer K comes for you, yeah, and touched me, yeah, you fatty, yeah, yeah. Ain't it
That's a
though?
good impression, doesn't he?
That is how it is. The bigger, the badder he is, you will not be touched. You'll be treated
And
like
the uglier.
a queen.
Nobody will take him away because he's so ugly.
Yeah, because like seen this guy called what they call him Asha. I said that guy looks like the guy that looks after my garden in Africa. And yet all the girls so it's like the main man in
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, they're dealing in drugs. The drugs represent provision, money. So they become a protector and a provider. Money will, unfortunately, a lot of these people sell their souls, sell their bodies, will compromise their values. Their values. Because I talk to them from they're younger. I'd like to get married when I'm 23 and I'm going to have, and they've got all of it right. I want, a nice house. I want to be in a nice job, and my husband must have a nice job and come home in suits. And at that younger age, early teens, 10, 11, 12, they've got it mapped out.
Yeah.
But if you're in the present situation, we're in your home, I don't go on holidays every year like Martin and Sarah and Phil. They go on holiday every year. They have 2-3 holidays a year, and they go skiing holidays as well. And also they've got one of these big BMW Jeeps, and we have to drive around in a little Punto. I'm not saying Punto is a bad car. But they've only got a little music car that they, we hope it starts in the morning kind of thing. And having that, no, we can't have the big turkey. Because there's a lot of neglect in the home. There's not enough food, furniture, etc. So you get a situation where that's what I crave. I want things because I lack things. Consequently, if Killer K has money and is throwing it around, I'm going to be attracted to the money, not necessarily the ugly face.
Okay.
The money, the protection.
Yes.
Okay. You see what I'm saying? And all my values gone out the window.
Oh, wow.
Can I just read this email? Sorry about the emails. We had a problem with our system, so we didn't receive any emails at all. So we've managed to, it's just been fixed now. And Priscilla's saying, thank you for such a wonderful program. I thank God for your lives. I'm really touched by your program because this is the biggest missing link in our families. Our children need fathers as role models in order to face the challenges of life. We've lost so many to gun crime, knife crime, and drugs because there's no relationship with their fathers. I pray that God will use people like Brother Yemi and Brother Patrick to minister to the dying world. If possible, they should host a non-denominational man's conference so that they can invite all these men and even open up a platform to reunite fathers who had lost all contact with their children as part of the He Matters. Please keep up the wonderful work, what you're doing. I once met you in Croydon at PJ Services workshop, and you were one of the invited guests, and that's blessed from Priscilla.
Thank you, Priscilla.
I had another email. It's just disappeared again. I don't know. I think we have gremlins in our system today because it's just gone off again.
Check the junk mail.
I have checked junk mail, but I'm not really sure.
It's gone there.
It's gone there. I don't think it's gone there. So sorry about that. There's obviously something wrong with our system today, but keep trying. Okay, keep trying. But back to serious. Back something serious about the Bible. Samuel was okay. He was a prophet. He was anointed. What happened with Samuel's children? What did he do wrong?
I mean, from Eli's perspective?
No, Samuel. Because when Samuel was, when the people started looking for a king, they didn't want Samuel's children, the prophet, because they said, your children are not like you. They're off the rails. You know, and yet Samuel was an anointed man. He was a prophet of God. He did everything right. The Bible says that his words never fell to the ground. Yeah, what happened?
I think it's to do with ministry more than anything else, because I've heard from great men of God, people like Dr. David Yonggi Cho in Korea. He has one of the biggest churches in the whole world.
Yeah.
And when he was being interviewed, he said the area of his life where he couldn't get balance was his family. And then I think Billy Graham said something along that line as well. I'm not sure. You know, and so I'm trying to figure out, so how can men of God get that balance right, whereby you're able to be on fire and busy for God, and at the same time have that sort of influence in the home, whereby you play the role of the pastor as well successfully? Because you've gone to work, you've been busy counseling so many people, you're under pressure, and then you come back home, you're knackered. And then the child now wants you to play Monopoly or Scrabble.
Or Xbox.
And then, you know, most of the time I want my wife to step in and say, listen, oh, your dad is tired, you know, like my mom used to do. We thank God for their lives. Oh, your dad is so tired, he's just gone out to get something to look after us. So, you know what, I'll play with you. And the wife said, no, I'm cooking and I've got to do the tumble dry and all this bits.
It's so difficult to juggle. And my Bishop Wagner, the late Bishop Wagner, he said, what happened to him, which shocked him really, really hard, the very thing you said, he heard that his daughter was pregnant. His daughter was pregnant by a gang leader. Bishop was shocked to his core, and internalized everything. Where did I go wrong? And started to look. Then he came back with us after going through all that process. He came back to us and said, listen, this is the structure, this is the order in which you ought to prioritize yourself. God first. God first. Your family second, then the church. God first, family second, then your church. And exactly as you said, we are so caught up and prioritize the church above all else, you know, answering calls all hours of the night, running to pray for sister this, you know, running to counsel Mr. and Mrs. that, you know, and putting them above your child. My ministry mainly is with young people, and I pour my time because I love young people, I love children, and I want to help as much as I can. My children come first. And I had to check myself sometimes. Whoop, let's go to that football game. Let somebody cover my class today so that I can go to that.
Can I just say, a young boy's in email says, I'm a young semi-pro footballer and have games on Sunday, but cannot go to church, and my parents cannot watch my games because they are in church. Any advice?
I'm telling you that at least once or twice a month, mum or dad, or mum and dad, whether they take it in turns, whether they go together, ought to go and support. Depending on the time of the kickoff, sometimes you could do both. Go to church, match, and come back. You know our service go on for 3-4 hours sometimes. You can take a couple of hours out.
But if mom and dad are not pastors in the church, they should be able to, you know.
I think take it in turn. It's essential for that support. My dad's never seen any of much. My dad didn't go.
Yes.
And so that is ingrown.
Yes.
It could be a resentment. It could be
rejection.
Rejection. There's a lot of psychological impact that happens.
Yes.
I can literally count on one hand any matches that I've missed. The one I can remember is the conference I was out of town.
Yes.
And they had a tournament that day, but I was on the phone constantly with one of the other parents.
What advice would you give to this young boy who's
I would say, sit down with mom and dad and make an agreement.
Play the repeat of the program to them. Record the program.
Have a contract.
Yes.
Have a contract.
Yes.
And in a way, the mom and dad can use that as a bargaining tool for the chap to behave. Sports it makes a child disciplined.
Yes.
You are playing by rules.
Yeah.
So you are playing in confinement. You have to, don't run offside. You can't aggressively go into a tackle to injure. You have team members that you bring into play. You support, you encourage. The discipline is excellent. In that, you can find a word that the Bible will back you up. Spiritualize it. Spiritualize it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you pray before you go on? Get your comrades to pray. I'm watching the Ghanaians play. I'm watching the Nigerians pray. They huggle. In a hub. Come on, let's all pray. You know, once they finish, they score a goal. When they come on the pitch,
We have to wrap up. We're running out
That's
of
what I'm saying.
time.
Bring your beliefs in there.
Amen.
And so God the honor and the glory.
Amen. Thanks so much for watching She Matters. The repeat is on Sunday at 10:30. Don't go away. Stay tuned to the station. Thank you so much for being here today. And God bless you.
Inside the divan of a bed. Where do these things come from? Do you understand what I'm saying? We're not talking about, inverted commas, normal families, normal society. There are things that are pulling you to various extremes. For what? For money, for fame, for, you know, your values have gone.
Wow.
Yummy.
Another area, you know, because we're from talking about what's in.
Oh my goodness. No, it's an excellent point. Excellent. Remember, we say the man is the head.
Yes.
Don't knock me down, women. Don't knock me
Loads
down.
of emails come flying in.
No, we haven't got
The
emails.
man, well, let me say something really controversial.
Yes.
No, the man is the head.
Okay.
But you often have to realize the woman is the neck.
That book, you talked about Derek Prince writing that the father is like the priest in the home, the pastor.
Yes.
Then the wife, the deacon,
Yes.
deaconess, and then the children, the church members.
Yes.
Then what happens, because the pastor determines what happens in the church. Then what happens then when the deaconess is trying to tell the pastor, you're running the church the wrong way?
Which sometimes he is. You're collecting too much offering.
Your vision. But you must have a steering group.
Steer.
Be that neck that steers you and turns you, because in the multitude of counsel, there's wisdom.
That's right.
Counselors, good counselor around you. So those people, my bishop, the late Bishop Norman L. Wagner, he always used to refer to that steers the head.
I support that.
That's
I
right.
support that.
Similarly, in church, when you're promoting your deacons and ministers, they're your steering group that steers you. You have a vision as a pastor, as a head. You want church growth, you want you know, to get and buy a building and have this. You have